So Pirates of Penzance was the first show that I saw at the Stratford Festival, and it was wild. I was probably too young to really get some of the nuances of it, but it's a fun show. It's upbeat. The singing and dancing are amazing, and of course, it was on the festival stage, or Avon stage at the festival. So it was really high quality performance production and stellar actors. So that's what kind of got me into it. And then over the years, because I grew up around Stratford, I was able to attend a bunch of the Shakespeare shows, a bunch of their musicals, which got me into it. And then I started with community theater and kind of went from there.
Do you remember as a performer, your first community theater performance?
So other than doing music festivals and stuff like that, my actual first theatrical performance would have been Oklahoma. And I was at the London Community Players. We did the production of Oklahoma, and then the following year I did Pajama Game in Stratford, which is a very obscure, really random show.
Pajama Game, not to be confused with Squid Game.
Correct.
Different show. Nice. All right, so it was pirates. So there would have been sword fights in there. Was that what got you hooked on the sword fighting?
I mean, as a young male growing up in the country, I always, went out in the backfield with sticks and pretended they were swords or guns or all that kind of stuff, right? So that just kind of allowed me to do the same thing, but someone gave me a real sword to do it with. So, I can't really say no to that.
That's super cool. I did the same thing when I was growing up as a kid. We lived in the country, and that was literally like as we're deciding like how we're going to spend our next couple hours of this sunny day. It'd be like, you want to go play sticks, but sticks with swords or guns sometimes. Yeah. How did you make the transition from amateur community theater into professional? Do you remember your first paid gig?
My first paid gig would have been a live show. We did Renaissance festivals. So there's a couple around, or used to be around Ontario. There was the Pirate Festival, which was in Milton, then in Guelph. There was the Ontario Renaissance Festival, which was in Milton, then the Royal Botanical Gardens in Hamilton, and then I believe it went back to Milton before it closed, as well as the Upper Canadian Renaissance Festival near Kingston. So there was a few. So my first paid gig was the Renaissance Festival here in Milton, and it wasn't a show per se where we had a lot of lines to remember, but we were soldiers in the 13th century, and we basically just beat the shit out of each other with swords. So that was pretty fun.
Sounds super fun. Yeah, so was that sort of like what they might call atmospheric actors, where you're sort of around doing your stick and doing your thing, but more like a demo versus a full
exactly
out scene?
Yeah, and even the fights, they were because we wore real armor, so the fights were choreographed in the sense that we knew who was going to win the fight, but it was up to us to safely do it while making it look realistic. So there was a lot of hitting each other with these fake swords. So
sounds like you had a lot of creative control over what sort of fights and what sort of stunts you were doing at that point, though.
Yes, we did, and even the weapon system. So we had to use whatever weapon systems would have been available at the time, but you didn't always have to do like sword and shield. You could do sword and axe, or axe and shield, or just a sword. And we didn't want to hurt each other, but it was always fun to just go out and bang each other up a little bit, and then enjoy the rest of the festival, and then spend a bunch of money on stuff like other swords and armor because all of the vendors were there.
And we have a comment from Jason Patry. Childhood is a very transferable skill here in this biz. And it is.
Yeah, a lot of imagination. I mean, that's where we all learn to play make-believe. And I think most of us as adults are still in that Peter Pan world of having fun and playing make-believe.
I still strongly debate grabbing a stick off the ground every time I'm like walking outside and just doing some swashbuckling, and that's it. Just have some fun.